Welcome to the Sanity Project podcast, the place for techies and non-techies who work in the techie world whose work-life balance plan has imploded. We're here to provide solutions that will help both the techie and non-techie live a sane, healthy, and prosperous life. Here's your host, Joanne Victoria.
Hi, this is Joanne Victoria, and welcome to another recording of the Sanity Project podcast. Our guest today is Vanessa Marie Dewsbury, and she is from Toronto, Canada. Vanessa is a Reiki master, life coach, and author located in Ontario, Canada, and she's here to tell her story. So tell us a little bit about how you got to be a Reiki master and an author of 2 great books, and what's going on in your life now.
Well, I'll say hello to you. It's a really great opportunity to be here chatting with you. So I had actually experienced health issues just over maybe about 6 years ago. And I was seeing doctor after doctor, and they couldn't really tell me what was going on. But what was happening is I kind of experienced a spiritual awakening, as they call it. And that was causing a lot of things to come up and to come out of my body. So I was having allergies, anxiety, vertigo, hot flashes. And this kind of led me on the path to natural healing, natural remedies. So that's when I discovered Reiki and ended up taking the course. And then 6 months after that, opening my own practice to help other people as well. Yeah.
So I gather you enjoy it.
Yes, I love it.
When did you write Is Heart is Where the Home Is? Is that your first book?
Yeah. So I released that January 2018. And I share a lot on Facebook about my journey and different things like that, excuse me. So people would always ask when I'm writing a book. So I thought, why not write a book? So I kind of compiled all of my posts that I would write into documents. And then I added more as well, but that's kind of how the journey to writing my book became about.
Okay, so when you say heart is where the home is, what does that mean to you?
I just feel like we wake up sometimes in the middle of our lives and we wonder like who we are, how we got here. So then we have this journey returning back home to our heart. So when heart is where the home is, that actual name came to me during the Reiki session. Mm-hmm. But heart is where the home is just makes me feel like it's just the return to our heart and to who we really are.
So why do you think many people do not even go to their heart first? Don't consider their heart their home?
Well, it can be a scary kind of thing. It can be scary to like go into all those things that cause us trauma and heartache and go into the pain. So I think I think sometimes we get kind of lost in life, and, conditioning from society and different things like that can make us forget who we are and all the things that we love and enjoy. So I think we kind of stray away from our heart, and then we wake up and just one day all those things that we could tolerate before just become intolerable. And then I find that's when the journey back home starts for many people.
So how did it affect you when you figured it out? I mean, when you made this change and you took the Reiki classes, you started practicing Reiki on clients, and then you wrote the book, but what happened along the way? I mean, what did you hit? I know that you said you had allergies and anxiety, and the Western doctors were of no help to you, and then you turned to natural remedies. What natural remedies did you turn to?
Yeah, so meditation, like for sure, it helped change my life. So when I was experiencing those health issues, like I said, I'd seen doctor after doctor, and I had all these tests done, but no one could tell me what was happening inside of my body. And mostly they thought it was being caused by external elements or conditions. So meditation, that kind of led me to meditation, because I was getting suggested that just relax. And people were asking me if I was under stress, and I would say no. But because I actually just got into a relationship, so I didn't feel stress at that time. But it was all of my emotions from the past, from relationships, from the death of my first boyfriend, from even abusive relationships. That was all still stored in my body. And all of those emotions were just running like free radical energy. And just came to a point where it became physical for me. all of my pain caused me to have a pained body. So I listened to suggestions of doing meditation. So I practiced meditation. Meditation kind of guided me into all those daunting places where we fear to go. But I mean, like feeling is healing. So you kind of have to go into the pain to come out of it.
For years, I have always said when someone has an outside problem, anything outside, whatever they think is outside of them, I always say, where does it show up in your body? And they go, huh?
Yeah.
It doesn't show up in my body. I said, it does. So go there. And, most of the people, and then if they couldn't do that, if we were dealing in relationships, for example, which I'm sure you run across certainly with your life coaching clients from time to time, I would have them go into your heart and tell me where you are in relationship to your heart. And most people cannot find themselves in their heart because it's interesting how people who would never even think of doing this on their own just are willing to go forward and say, and just do it. I do have a way of making people do things just by suggesting, but I said, where are you in relationship to your heart? And they were nowhere. And if they were anywhere, they were crouching and hiding. Yeah. So they were not connected. And it's amazing how people, how you're working with people and helping them in this way.
Yeah, I do find I seem to be, or people are drawn to me that are just coming out of narcissistic relationships.
Oh, God bless us from those.
Yeah, where they feel worthless. They really don't know who they are. Like, you're right. Like, I've had a woman come where she didn't feel like being alive. Like, she's like, I don't even want to be alive, but I know she just didn't want to feel what she was feeling. And it's awful because to wake up in the middle of your life, like we talked about, and to not know who you are and what you love, and just to have been torn down by someone, it's like you feel hopeless. So, and everything begins within. And you're right. I looked externally to gurus or whomever in books, and all of those things helped me, but not as much as it helped just to go within and allow myself to be in that space of feeling my past pain and trauma, but not running away from it. Like, giving attention, that's all it really wants. All of that past pain and trauma just wants our attention and our love because it never received that. And the more we push things down, it just gives more fight to come back up. And eventually something will always have to give.
Tell me, it comes out in many, many ways. So that's another thing to look at. In what ways does it come out in the physical body, do you think?
Well, people with arthritis, I find in their hands, I've had clients come in and they actually turn out to be hoarders, but they have a need to be right all the time. So their hands will have arthritis in their hands, and they're young. And to me, that symbolizes like the need to hold on and to not be able to let go of things. We can have, our knees can act up. So we can have a lot of arthritis even in our knees. And to me, again, that symbolizes a fear of going forward or being left behind. So it does show up in different shoulders for sure. We hear people like talking about the pain in their shoulders and their neck, right? Things mean a pain in your neck. Mm-hmm. So the energy of emotions, once it's created from an experience, it has to go somewhere. If we don't release it, it's just going to show up in our body somewhere. Even fibromyalgia, like I understand that's a health condition, but sometimes I think it's really a manifestation of all that unconscious pain, because I was told that I had fibromyalgia. So at 36 years old, my partner would have to help me off the couch because I was in so much pain. But once I released that, the pain, once I released my unconscious traumas by going in, the pain like suddenly magically disappeared.
Well, let's say you were not available, or someone like yourself was not available. How can someone help themselves? Because I like to give people some insight on how they can go within and work on releasing, taking a first step or two to release this long-held pain and trauma.
So meditation for sure. And a lot of people say they can't, I've tried meditation, I can't do meditation. A lot of people have this idea that meditation is like the Buddha sitting under the tree with no thoughts. But meditation is really just being present. it's not about getting rid of all your thoughts. It's just about slowing them down and calming your mind and being present in that moment. So meditation for sure is key, because that allows us to stop and just to be, and allows things to come up so we can process them. It's giving us ourselves a chance to process things. Journaling for sure. I suggest that to my clients all the time. Journaling helps us release energy of emotions, because we're going into the feeling of what happened to us, and we're kind of reliving it, and then we're writing it out into our journal or into our book. And I'm sure, like, you've probably experienced this too, where we have a lot of unsaid conversations that we never got to have with people, and all those unsaid emotions, even with parents or siblings or friends. So journaling allows you to express all those things that you repressed, and it lets you kind of have a voice. It's not for anyone else to read. It's not for you to have to go back and read only if you want to, but you just hold space for yourself in a non-judgmental way and allow whatever comes up to come out, and then writing it out so you release that from your body.
Now, does this happen so I always tell people doing what needs to be done to remove all of the inner things from your body is not McDonald's. You have to do things over time. So
yes.
How explain that to people, that aspect. That's, my perspective would be that spending there a long time, you just can't, it's not like popping a pimple.
Right.
Even a pimple comes back. So, and that's something you have to look at too. If you are at that stage in your life that you do pop pimples, they will come back if they're not released.
Yeah.
Love.
Right.
So how would you explain that to people, that it doesn't happen overnight or in one sitting or in one meditation class or in a week's worth of journaling?
Yeah, that's so true. It's like you just don't write one letter and then you're healed. When it comes to the inner work, and that's why with my clients I don't give them deadlines. I don't say you have 1 week to like write letters of forgiveness to your mother. We don't work that way, and it does take a long time for that to build. And maybe it'll take 5 times to write it out and release it. So just being gentle on yourself and not having time limits. And if you're in a mode where you feel like writing, then maybe if it gets too hard or too emotional, kind of see if you can fight through it. But if it's too much, then you can walk away and then come back again. So for journaling, definitely just taking your time and being easy with yourself. There's no expectation. There's no judgment. There's no criticism. It's just letting it be what it is, and not giving up if it's not working right away. Because even with my books, like it was a lot of healing writing my books, and that took a year for them. So it's definitely not a quick process.
Yeah, that's important for people to understand, because they don't realize that they have been carrying around this since the day they were born, for some.
Yeah.
And then as they learned throughout the first 6 months of their lives, and then from 0 to 7, they have picked up everything that they were probably expressed during the rest of their lives. People think they learn everything when they're older, and that's not true.
Yeah.
Could you go into that a little bit, if you're comfortable talking about that, how much we learn when we're infants and young children?
Yeah, and that's what I was going to mention. It's like one of the other things I do, and it'd be kind of a longer conversation, but it's called inner child work. I'm sure you may have heard of it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so inner child work is kind of like, and I've done it myself, where say you're 7 years old and maybe your father has left your mother and there was no resolution. And it's hard when you're a child, because the parents kind of deal with it, but the child doesn't know how to express what they're feeling as well. And kids can feel energy and they feel what's going on, but like a lot of people don't really talk to the children about it. So you find, suddenly you have a fear of abandonment when you're older and being left, and you have father issues. What I encourage my clients and even myself is to do inner child work, where you actually sit with yourself and go back to that age that you were when you've had those different experiences, and talking to that child like you would talking to your own child. And I find that's very, very healing. it's a very interesting thing. It's something that for sure, maybe if your listeners want to look up inner child work, going back to the pinpointing the ages that when you experience certain tragedies in your life or traumatic experiences. And yeah, it's pretty powerful.
Yeah, we have to be our own best friend as we grow up, hopefully grow up, but we have to become our own best friend so that we become healthy to go back to the still unhealthy child.
Yeah. And just holding them and giving your love and attention to that child that may not have got that at that time. And that us healing ourselves now helps also for those people with children. We break the patterns. If we can understand ourselves, we can understand others and what our children need, and then we can be able to assist them better and guide them when they're going through their own situations and experiences in life.
Okay, so talk to me about a recent client who had something that was very difficult to let go. Let's
see. Well, actually, it's funny because I just had a client who had a concussion. She's had 6, which I didn't know of. She just mentioned the first one.
Wow.
So, yes. So
somebody's trying to get her attention.
Yeah. So I'm working on her today, and I could feel this horrible pain in the back of my head, like on the base of my skull, and it felt like someone like hit me with a bat. So when you're doing energy work, the energies interact, so I can actually feel where people have pain in their body. So I repeat, this isn't mine, which is a nice tool for other people to use as well. When you're feeling a certain, if you're feeling in a bad mood or whatever, sometimes it's emotions that aren't your own. So I asked myself, is this mine? And it wasn't mine. So I asked her after where her concussion was, and she told me on the side of her forehead, but then I showed her where I had felt one. She's like, that was her first one and the main one where she had fell on like concrete. So that was still, it's interesting because that was still a pain in her head, but she also had emotion attached to that, right? It's like you have pain and an accident and whatever you're experiencing then. So that's still there. I've dealt with so many people that we just carry these things with us for so many years. And the truth is sometimes we just don't know how to let go. It's easy for us to say to people, just let go, but how do you let go? And as I mentioned earlier, it's kind of going into those situations and those experiences and letting them be what they are so you can release them. But yeah, we carry around so much stuff in our bodies, and that's why we can feel such heavy energy. So someone will come for a treatment and then they'll get up and they'll come back or upstairs to talk with me, and they'll say how much lighter they feel. Mm-hmm. But it's because they're carrying so much lower energy from even their days, but their past. It's like we're like suitcases, and we're packing everything, our suitcase full of emotions and tragedies that happen to us. And we're not really meant to do that. As humans, we just do it. But as a soul, we don't want to hold on to those kind of things.
Yeah, it can be sad because it can affect your job, your relationships, all of your relationships as part of a primary relationship, as a parent, as a child, and then at work. We are the same people at work as we are at home and at play, and people forget that. They think, oh, I'm just gonna, drop all that, and then I'll be different when I go have some fun with my friends. But you're not.
Yeah.
You're the same person. And, I see it manifested when, people, let's go out and party, quote unquote. And, they're drinking one drink after another to try to numb themselves.
Yeah.
So people numb themselves with food and drink.
Yeah.
But you can't escape.
Yeah. And I believe that that's where addiction comes from, is a lack of connection and connection to our parents. I find I talk to a lot of people that they didn't grow up in a home where there's an emotional connection. There's no hugging or even saying, I love you. Like I talk to a lot of clients like that, and there wasn't that connection. Maybe the father worked and the mom maybe worked part-time or stayed home with the children. But we were just missing an important bond, which is what we as humans we're designed to have, that connection. So if we are missing that connection, you're right. We try to fill it with phones. Even phones are an addiction, right? It's like we had that void that was missing, something that wasn't loved enough. And then we try, anytime a feeling would come up where we're feeling that pain, we will numb it down. Alcohol, food, whatever it is to not feel the pain and for like temporary relief. But I don't know. It's sometimes I think we aren't really taught how important it is to love ourselves. And,
how would we learn that? That's
right.
How would we learn that? There's my God, the kids today, God help us, because they're just learning everything from a negative perspective, from people who don't know themselves, from people who everyone seems to be so hateful and angry lately.
Yeah.
That how can children learn much of anything?
No, it's so true. And my daughter, she's in high school, and she doesn't like going to school. But she would be around certain kids and they would talk about like drinking and partying, and that's not what she does. She's not into that. But it's like when you're that age, she's in grade 10, a lot of times, and myself when I was in high school, you're trying to be whatever you think everyone wants you to be.
Oh, sure. So
you're just not yourself. So how do you learn to love yourself when you're not even being yourself? It has to start with parents, and our children mimic what we're doing. It's easy for us to be mindless, and our child's in our room for like 5 hours on our phone and we're doing our own thing. Like that's a disconnect, right? So they're seeking validation from other people on their devices. That's what social media is doing right now. Young people are, even not just young people, adults seeking external validation to know that they're good enough. And we have to give it to ourselves. And that comes through self-care, taking care of yourself.
That's number one, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely.
And the internet, it has its good points. It certainly makes things easier for research, for writing, for connecting, but it also doesn't help in the area where, everybody's looking for approval and acceptance. Certainly in social media, based on how many people, Judy didn't like my picture on Insta, and so on and so forth. And it's just too much.
Yeah. And what a funny thing. It's like in the beginning with Facebook, they didn't have the like option. You just posted whatever. No one really cared. Mm-hmm. Instagram now, if you update your app, they actually have it so you can only see your own likes, but you can't see other people's, which I think is great. So you're right. We are like watching how many likes we're getting, or comparing ourselves to how much attention or likes somebody else is getting. Like that's a detriment to us. If we just, the other thing is too, it's like posting what you're doing all the time. It's like, I don't know. I believe in like having I like when no one knows where I am.
I cut off I disconnected from my chats on Facebook. So nobody knows that I'm online when I'm on Facebook.
Yeah, me too.
I can't. The pressure is just too much.
Yeah.
I go on there to work. I may like some things as they show up in my home feed from people that I know. But I go on there to work, to post my articles, to do this, that, and the other thing. And then I leave.
Yeah, that's what I do. Because I found I was on there way too long. And when I change things up, and I post things that are of value. Like I want someone to read something that I've shared and be able to walk away with something. If I'm showing a picture of my plate of salad, like that doesn't do anything for anybody. It's also wasting my time posting that and seeing who's liked my bowl of salad. Like I want meaningful connections and conversations. And I share a lot from a place of vulnerability. And I find that's how we have real relationships with people. That's how we know that we're not alone. It's hearing that someone else has gone through something similar and they made it out. That, it gives people hope.
Well, in order to continue to give people hope, tell our audience how they can find you and find out all the information and find out about your books and along that line.
So both my books are on Amazon.ca and Amazon.com. And my Facebook profile is public. So my name, Vanessa Dewsbury. I have my Instagram and Facebook page and profile all under my name, just to make it easy for people. I used to have a business name, but then people who come for Reiki and they know who I was, but not my business name. It was kind of, like we said, kind of a disconnect. So my business is me because it's what I love, being of service to other people and helping people on their healing journey. Mm-hmm. So
And your website address?
Yeah, this is my name, VanessaMarieDewsbury.com.
Okay, so you don't have to do .ca.
.com, VanessaMarieDewsbury.com.
Okay, so would you spell that out, please, for our audience? Because when you say it quickly, not everybody's going to understand.
So VanessaMarieDewsbury.com.
That's perfect, Vanessa. Perfect. It's been a great show, and you've been a great help to our audience. I know that the people that are listening are in stress. They're anxious. They are looking for ways to get out of it, and you have helped them greatly. I want to thank Vanessa Marie Dewsbury for being here today, and I also want to tell listeners to go to my website at askjoannevictoria.com, and you will find there's a free book and free downloads. Let's see, what else? Oh, lots of podcasts, including Vanessa's, that will be up soon, and lots of blog posts. So I've got a lot of free things on my website. And I would ask that everybody go to iTunes and give Vanessa Marie Dewsbury a 5-star review, as well as the podcast, the Sanity Project podcast. Everybody have a great day, and thank you for listening. Take care. Bye.
Thank you.
I hope you enjoyed this episode of the Sanity Project podcast. Please go to askjoannevictoria.com to listen to more podcasts and get a free copy of her report, 5 Steps to Achieve Work-Life Balance. That's askjoannevictoria.com. Take care, and thanks for being here.